بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. We're continuing in the readings of the Manzuma by Imam Muhammad ibn Ahmad al-Saffaareeniyyah rahimahullahu ta'ala. And that is the Manzuma, which is also known as aqeedatus saffaareeniyyah or R.E.D.A saffaareeniyyah, which we have been reading from, that has been explained by Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen rahimahullahu ta'ala. And we reached the fasl في مبحث القرآن العظيم وبيان اختلاف الناس فيه ومذهب السلف. We reached the subsection in the first bab, and that is dealing with the noble Quran and clarifying the differences of the people concerning the Quran and the madhab of the Salaf, the manhaj of the Salaf, the methodology of the Salaf concerning how we view the book of Allah Azza wa Jal, Al-Quran. And this is the fasl with the Nazim, Muhammad ibn Ahmad al-Saffaareeniyyah. He mentions the bait وإنما جاء مع جبريل من محكم القرآن والتنزيل وإنما جاء مع جبريل من محكم القرآن والتنزيل. And that is the bait where he mentioned of that which has come by way of Jibril, or come with Jibril, from the muhkam of the Quran and the tanzeel. And then Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, as we already mentioned in our last class, in our last sitting, that which the Nazim he meant here by mentioning Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam, and Jibreel being one of the noble and tremendous angels who has a very high status with us, of course, in Islam and with Allah Azza wa Jal, and having the greatest of responsibilities that have been placed upon any of the angels, and that is bringing down as a means of being a wasita, bringing down the revelation from Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala to the Anbiya wa Rusul. So Imam al-Saffaareeniyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he went on to say, min muhkam al-Qur'ani wa tanzili. Muhkam al-Quran. What is this? Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, Muhkam al-Qur'ani, as it comes in the bait, yani majroor, min muhkam al-Qur'ani. He says, this is min babi idafat al-sifati ila mawsufiha, ay min al-Qur'an al-muhkam. He says here, this is from the bab, this is from the manner here of correlating the sifa into that which is being described. Correlating the sifa into that which is being described. Meaning this is on an idafa construction. As we know, those who study Arabic grammar, even those who are in the very beginning stages of studying Arabic grammar, then normally you learn the idafa construction, or what is known as mudaf wa mudafun ilayhi. Mudaf wa mudafun ilayhi. And that is when there are two ism, there are two, as we say in Arabic, the term al-ism, sometimes we translate it as being noun, but an ism in Arabic is not always going to be a noun. So we say al-ism. When you have ismani, you have two isms, if we can say that, two isms, and they are correlated into one another. So we know that the first one cannot take alif lam, nor can it take tanween. The first one cannot take alif lam, nor can it take tanween. For example, if we say Baytullah, Bayt, right? Al-Bayt and Allah, both of these are ismani, and both of them are ma'rifatani. Both of these are definite, in this case, nouns. Definite nouns. طيب. So, in having this, al-bayt to Baytullah, al-bayt has to, the alif lam has to be removed from it. And this will be the first of the words, which is known as mudaf. And then Allah, which will be known as mudafun ilayhi, which will be the second one. Will take as the end of its ruling, of its hukum, it will be majroor, meaning it will have a kasra on the end of it. So this is the construction here that is idafa, but it is correlating the actual sifa, making the sifa mudaf into that which is being described, which is mudafun ilay. What is being described here? Al-Quran. The Quran is being described. How is the Quran being described, and with what description? It's being described with the description of being al-muhkam. This is one of the descriptions of the Quran. The Quran is muhkam, or the ayat are muhkamat or muhkama. So now here we have muhkam coming before al-Quran without an alif lam on it, so that now it becomes mudafun. So now instead of saying al-Quranul muhkam, which for those who study Arabic grammar as well, know that the sifa is going to come after that which is being described. Unlike English, we have the sifa comes before that which is being described. For example, we wanted to describe the door, we would say the green door. The green door, right? In Arabic, we would say al-bab al-akhdar. Al-bab al-akhdar. The door and then the green. So the sifa will come after what is being described. Here, the sifa is coming first, but it's coming in an idafa construction. And this is known as idafatu sifa ila mawsufiha, or idafatu sifa ila al-mawsuf. What is being described here? Al-Quran. Where does it come? Second. What is the description? Al-muhkam. Where does it come? Before Al-Quran. So the author, he brought this in the idafatu sifa ila mawsufiha, as Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala explained. Many of our brothers who are listening, who have studied Arabic grammar, understand what I mean. Some of those who may have not, it probably would be made very clear to you if you would see this on a board. If you cannot see it on a board, or you don't know what we're talking about, then if you have begun to study a little bit and have not reached this portion yet in studying Arabic grammar, then you should look it up. It is known as idafatul sifa ila al-mawsuf or ila mawsufiha. And the other, which we mentioned, it is called idafa or mudafun ilayhi. And this is normally found in the very beginning sections of beginning Arabic grammar. This is not something that is very advanced, as a matter of fact, because it's something that is very common in the language. In speech, in writing, and reading, you will find this idafa construction very repetitive. So the Nazim, he says, من محكم القرآن, Ibn Taymiyyah, he says, من باب إضافة الصفة إلى موصوفها, أي من القرآن المحكم. And it has come, Jibril, he came with the Quran that is muhkam. Ibn Taymiyyah says, وَالْقُرْآنَ الْمُحْكَمْ أي مُتْقِنْ مِنْ كُلِّ وَجْهٍ. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, then he goes on to explain what is it meant by muhkam. What is it meant by muhkam? He said, a mutqin. Mutqin, yani the Quran that possesses itqan. It is mutqin, it possesses itqan. What is itqan? That which is very precise, that which is very perfect, that which is very thorough, that which is very tight. And we say that a person, he is mutqin, and in Arabic, in his speech, in Quran, meaning that when he recites, he is mutqin in his tajweed, in his recitation, in his hifz, meaning that there is not a letter or a vowel that escapes him in which he pronounces incorrect in his memory. Person recites Quran from memory, and he never makes a mistake. He rarely makes a mistake with the vowels. He doesn't place a fatha where there should be a dhamma. He doesn't place a dhamma where there should be a kasra. And he is mutqin in his qira'ah. A person, he speaks Arabic language, and he speaks very clear and very precise with proper Arabic grammar. Proper grammar. This person is mutqin, scholar of hadith, who narrates hadith. And he is always very precise in his narrations. He rarely makes mistakes. He is mutqin, right? He is an individual who is mutqin. So the Quran, which is the greatest speech, it is muhkam with the meaning mutqin min kulli wajhin, yani from every single direction, every single angle in which you can actually look at the Quran, it is mutqin. Yani akhbaruhu muhkama, laysa fiha kadhib. Ibn Taymiyyah says that all of that which the Quran informs us of the stories of the Quran, of the information that the Quran relays to us, is muhkama, laysa fiha kadhib. Meaning in this case, it is muhkama, yani mutqina. These stories are mutqina, these narrations are mutqina, the information is mutqina, yani laysa fiha kadhib. In none of this information there is any lies. None of this information there is any discrepancies. Ahkamuhu muhkama laysa fiha jawr. And in the rules and regulations, of the Quran, in its ahkam, then its ahkam is muhkama. What does this mean? Laysa fiha jawr. Yani there is no injustice, there is no oppression, there is nothing, no wrongdoing whatsoever that can be attributed to the ahkam of the Quran, the ahkam of al-Islam, the rules and the regulations and the laws and the sharia. Yani they are muhkama, laysa fiha jawrun. There is no oppression, there is no injustice whatsoever in the ahkam of the Quran. Madlulatihi wa madlulatuhu muhkama, laysa fiha tanaqud. And all of the things that we find in the Quran, that the Quran gives any type of guidance to, any type of indication to, sheds light on anything, leads the person to, there's no contradictions whatsoever. There's no contradictions whatsoever. So this is what it means by min muhkam al-Qur'ani, in which Jibreel came with, and this is what it means by the Quran being mutqin. There is no lie in its speech. There is no injustice or oppression or wrongdoing in its rulings and regulations. And there is no contradictions in the Quran whatsoever. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَعَلَمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ وَصَفَ الْقُرْآنَ كُلَّهُ بِأَنَّهُ مُحْكَمٌ. That Allah ta'ala, He described the whole Quran. He has described the whole Quran in His description of the Quran, that all of the Quran is muhkam. وَبِأَنَّهُ حَكِيمٌ. And that the Quran has the sifa of being hakim. وَوَصَفَهُ كُلَّهُ بِأَنَّهُ مُتَشَابِهٌ. And in other places, Allah Ta'ala has also described the whole Quran as being mutashabih. This term here, mutashabih, in which we will discuss what it means, inshallah ta'ala. وَوَصَفَهُ بِأَنَّ بَعْضَهُ مُحْكَمٌ وَبَعْضَهُ مُتَشَابِهٌ. And Allah Ta'ala also in other places has or have described the Quran that some of it is muhkam, parts of it is muhkam, and other parts are mutashabih. فهذه ثلاثة فهذه ثلاث صفات. And these are three descriptions of the Quran. These are three ways that Allah Ta'ala has described the Quran. Either it is completely muhkam, or He has described it as being completely mutashabih, as well as He has described it as being parts of it muhkam and parts of it mutashabih. وصفه بأنه محكم في قوله تعالى. Allah Ta'ala described it as being muhkam in its entirety. In Surah Hud in Ayah 1, Allah Ta'ala says, كِتَابٌ أُحْكِمَتْ آيَاتُهُ. Allah Ta'ala says that it is a book in which the verses of this book are perfected. Perfected from every single angle of knowledge. It is perfected. It is muhkam. It is mutqin. وفي قوله تعالى تلك آيات الكتاب الحكيم. In Surah Yunus Ayah 1, Surah Hud Ayah 1, He says كتاب أحكمت آياته. And in Surah Yunus He says تلك آيات الكتاب الحكيم. And this is the ayat. These are the ayat of the book that is Hakim. وَوَصَفَهُ بِأَنَّهُ مُتَشَابِهٌ فِي قَوْلِهِ. And he described it, that the whole Quran is mutashabih, in his statement in Surah Ar-Rum, in ayah 23. الله نزل أحسن الحديث كتابا متشابها مثاني. الله نزل أحسن الحديث كتابا متشابها مثاني. Allah Ta'ala, He says also in Surah Rum, describing that all of the Quran in and of itself can also be described as being what? Mutashabih. How does Allah Ta'ala, He says in, Surah Zumar. I don't know why I'm saying Surah Rum. My eyes are getting somewhat bad. My eyes are getting somewhat bad. But He said in Surah Zumar, in ayah 23, concerning the Quran, all of it being mutashabih, He says, and Allah Ta'ala has sent down the best of hadith, the best of speech, kitaban, it is a book, mutashabihan, and all of it is mutashabih, that all of the Quran is considered to be what? It is considered to be mutashabih, and that is in Surah Zumar, ayat 23. Ayat 23. طيب. And mathani, which is, of course, means off-repeated. The verses are off-repeated. And this is what it means also by mutashabih. وَوَصَفَهُ بِأَنَّ بَعْضَهُ مُحْكَمٌ وَبَعْضَهُ مُتَشَابِهٌ. And then Allah Ta'ala, He described that some of the Quran, portions of it is muhkam, and portions of it are mutashabih. في قوله تعالى هو الذي أنزل عليك الكتاب منه آيات محكمات هن أم الكتاب وأخر متشابهات. As he mentions in Surah Ali Imran, very well known verse, ayah 7, that He is the one who sent down upon you the book. From amongst the book, those verses are in it. Minhu, meaning portions of it. Min here, bima'na at-tab'id, yani ba'd. Portions of these ayat are muhkam. Hunna ummul kitab. These are the verses that are considered to be the of the book. These are the verses that we do what? As we know from the manhaj of Ahlul Sunnah, we return everything back that is mutashabih to these verses that are considered to be muhkamat. Wa ukharu mutashabihat. And then there are other portions of the book that are mutashabihat. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَلِكُلِّ مِنْ هَذِهِ الْأَوْصَافِ وَجْهٍ. And all of these descriptions have their own way in understanding them and dealing with them. أما وصف كونه بأنه محكم فلأن القرآن كله متقن لا يكذب بعضه بعضا ولا يناقض بعضه بعضا وَلَيْسَ فِيهِ شَيْءٌ مِنَ الْبَاطِلِ. As for the description of it being entirely muhkam, then this means that all of it is mutqin, all of it is perfect, all of it is precise, all of it is very thorough, all of it is very accurate and detailed. No portion of the Quran can be used to refute or deny or prove another portion of the Quran to be a lie. Nor is there one portion of the Quran that contradicts another portion of the Quran. وَلَيْسَ فِيهِ شَيْءٌ مِنَ الْبَاطِلِ. And there is nothing of falsehood that can be found in Al-Quran. As Allah Ta'ala, He says in Surah Fussilat, ayah 42, لَا يَأْتِيهِ الْبَاطِلُ مِنْ بَيْنِ يَدَيْهِ وَلَا مِنْ خَلْفِهِ. And there is no falsehood that can come from before it or from after it. Now, وَأَمَّا وَصْفُهُ كُلُّهُ بِأَنَّهُ مُتَشَابِهٌ. As for its description as being entirely mutashabih, فَلِأَنَّهُ, because the Quran here, it does what? That portions of the Quran resemble other portions. فِي الْكَمَالِ وَالْجَوْدَةِ وَالْمَنَافِعِ وَالْمُنَافِعِ الْعَظِيمَةِ. That portions of the Quran resemble other portions in what? Or parts of the Quran resemble other parts. The Quran resembles itself in all of its ayat in what? In perfection, in completeness in the tremendous, overwhelming benefit that is obtained and achieved from Al-Quran. So this is the way that the Quran, all of it has been described as being mutashabih, from the meaning of resemblance, that all of it resembles one another, all of the verses, all of its portions and parts resembles each other in its excellence and perfection. وَإِنْ كَانَ يَتَفَوَّتْ فِي هَذَا الْوَجْهِ لَكِنَّهُ But even though there is variances with regards to portions and parts of the Quran, there are variances with regards to portions and parts of the Quran of their resemblance from some ways, right? And there are variances, right, from the Quran bi'tibari mutakallim bihi, right, mamnu', or rather, as for variances in the mutakallim bihi, then this is mamnu'. I'll repeat that again. Even though there are variances and there are different levels concerning certain ayat, some ayat are more stronger than other ayat, maybe as proofs, maybe with regards to some ayat are more deeper, in meaning than other ayat. Other ayat have more of a virtue than other ayat. They vary, but they all resemble one another in being perfect, in being complete. As for at-tafawwut bi'tibari mutakallim bihi mamnu'un, but as for the ayats being different and they vary concerning from the standpoint of the one who spoke these ayat, then we know that there is no difference and no variance in degree of any portion or part of the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, لأن المتكلم به واحد وهو الله عز وجل, because the one who spoke with it is one, and he is Allah عز وجل. أما باعتبار مدلول الكلام فإنه واقع الاختلاف بينه. As for that which the respective speech at that time or that verse gives indication to, then we know that there occurs differences between the verses. For example, فَأَعْظَمُ سُورَةٍ فِي كِتَابِ اللَّهِ إيش؟ أَعْظَمُ سُورَةٍ فِي كِتَابِ اللَّهِ إيش؟ الفاتحة. That the greatest surah in the Quran is what? Al-Fatiha. The greatest surah in the Quran is Al-Fatiha. Who is the one who revealed it? Who is the one who spoke with it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So from the respect of, or from the standpoint of the surah itself, compared to other surah, it has an excellence, or it has a miza over other surahs. With respect to it being the kalam of Allah, then there is no difference between it and any other surah or ayah in Quran. وَأَعْدَمُ آيَةٍ إيش؟ Ayatul Kursi. And the greatest ayah is what ayah? Ayah of the footstool. Not ayah of the throne, but the ayah of the footstool is what it is, should be properly translated as, and not the verse of the throne, in which we've seen many translations, especially over the years. Possibly they don't translate it that way anymore, but this was the common translation of the verse being ayah of the throne. Now, وَقُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ Surah Ikhlas تَعْدِلُ ثُلُثُ الْقُرْآنِ. The surah Al-Ikhlas, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, it is equivalent to what? It equals a third of the Quran. وَلَيْسَتِ السُّورَةَ الَّتِي قَبْلَهَا منزلتها في دلالة العظيمة. عفوا, excuse me for a second. That the Surah Al-Ikhlas, it is equal to a third of the Quran. Surah Al-Ikhlas, it is equal to a third of the Quran. وَلَيْسَتِ السُّورَةُ الَّتِي قَبْلَهَا بِمَنزِلَتِهَا فِي الدِّلَالَةِ الْعَظِيمَةِ. And the surah that comes before it, what is it? تَبَّتْ يَدَا. It is not on the same status of Surah Al-Ikhlas, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. لَيْسَتْ فِي مَوْضُوعِهَا وَمَدْلُولِهَا كَسُورَةِ قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. The Surah Tabbat Yada is not as equal, on the same level, with regards to its meaning, with regards to its subject matter, as what? As Al-Ikhlas, or as Tabbat Yada is not on the same level and had the same subject matter and meaning and that which it alludes to as Surah Al-Ikhlas. So they vary with regards to their rank in that way. But as it being the speech of Allah, then there is no difference between the two. إذن هو متشابه من حيث الكمال والجودة. So therefore we say that the Quran has been described as being mutashabih, parts of it being mutashabih and other parts being muhkam, by way of that which it alludes to of or being mutashabih, of that which it alludes to of resembling one another in completeness and perfection and excellence. أما وصف وصف بعضه بأنه محكم وبعضه متشابه. As for the Quran being described by Allah Ta'ala as some of it is muhkam and some of it mutashabih portions, فأرجح الأقوال أن المحكم هو اتضح معناه. That the strongest and the most weightiest of the statements concerning what does it mean here, that portions of it are muhkam and portions of it mutashabih. Muhkam here meaning that which its meaning that can be seen and witnessed by everyone is very clear. That the verse in and of itself is a very clear and explicit verse. And mutashabih meaning here ma khufiya ma'nahu, in which its meaning is from those verses in which the meaning may not be so evident and may be obscure and may not be so clear to other people. لأنه يشتبه على بعض الناس دون بعض. Because the mutashabih, these particular verses here, when they refer to some verses being muhkam and some verses being mutashabih, those mutashabih verses in which they are verses in which they are obscure to some people, meaning people who lack knowledge, or could be people who are lesser in knowledge than others concerning the meanings and the deeper meanings of this particular verse, or the correct, clear meaning of this verse in and of itself. ولكن الذين أتاهم الله العلم يردون هذا المتشابه الخفي المعنى إلى المحكم الواضح فيكون القرآن كله واضحا بهذا الاعتبار. But those people whom Allah Ta'ala has given knowledge, Allah Ta'ala has given them proper, well-grounded knowledge, they return these obscure or these verses that are not so clear, that may have any aspects of them that are not as clear as the muhkam in their meaning, they return them back to the verses that are very clear in their meaning. Therefore, all of the Quran is wadih from this angle. And I'll give you an example of the salaf, or returning verses that are muhkam mutashabih. First of all, what would we consider to be a verse that is muhkam? A verse that is muhkam would be something very clear. وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ, and establish the prayer. That is a verse that is muhkam. This has no hidden meaning, or rather no meaning that is obscure. It can be understood just as it is. Establish the prayer. And of course we know from the sunnah how to establish the prayer, but just the command in and of itself, وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ, establish the prayer. This is a verse that is muhkam. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. O you who believe, fasting of Ramadan has been prescribed and made an obligation upon you as it was from those who came before you, that perhaps and with hopes that you will achieve taqwa as a result. This is very clear. There's nothing mutashabih about this. طيب. Another verse, وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. Worship Allah alone and do not commit shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a verse that is muhkama. This is very clear. Worship Allah and don't make shirk. There's nothing that is mutashabih about this verse. Now we have a verse in the Quran that says, ما يكون من نجوى ثلاثة إلا هو الرابعهم ولا خمسة إلا هو سادسهم ولا أكثر من ولا أدنى ولا أكثر إلا هو معهم أينما كانوا. I can't remember the verse right now. But Allah Ta'ala, He says, ما يكون من نجوى ثلاثة إلا هو الرابعهم. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, or there is no najwa of three people, meaning a secret council of people who are together, and there are three except that Allah Ta'ala, He is the fourth. وَلَا خَمْسَةٍ إِلَّا هُوَ سَادِسُهُمْ. And there is no five people except that He is the sixth of them. وَلَا أَدْنَى مِنْ ذَلِكَ وَلَا أَكْثَرَ. Now, وَلَا أَدْنَى مِنْ ذَلِكَ وَلَا أَكْثَرَ. And there is none lesser than that or even more. Meaning there is no 2 and then there's 3. Or there's no 7 except that Allah Ta'ala is the 8th. Or there's no 2 and except that Allah Ta'ala is the 3. لا أدنى من ذلك ولا أكثر إلا هو معهم أينما كانوا ثم ينبئهم بما عملوا يوم القيامة إن الله بكل شيء عليم. Except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no lesser or no more, إلا هو معهم أينما كانوا, except that He is with them wherever they may be. And then He will inform them of what they used to do يوم القيامة, and Allah is بكل شيء عليم. Let's look at this verse here. A person takes this verse right here, mutashabih, something that its meaning can be obscure to individuals who are not grounded in their knowledge or not grounded in their aqeedah, have not been taught, and say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is He is with us, literally with us, fi dhatihi, in His essence, in and of Himself. Allah ta'ala, He is in of Himself dwelling with His creation. He dwells amongst His creation. They can use this ayah that is mutashabih, in which they have done, to affirm the aqeedah of al-khulul or wahdatul wujud. The fact that Allah Ta'ala, He dwells within His creation, and He is one with His creation, in existence with His creation. So they'll use this ayah, and they'll say, Allah Ta'ala, He says, and He is with them wherever they may be, with them. And this with here, they mean literally, and they take it to mean that Allah Ta'ala is literally with. Like I say that me and Abdullah is with me. And what I mean by with me, who is with you right now at the store? Abdullah. Who is with you in the masjid? Abdullah. This is their interpretation of the term ma'ahir, musahaba, that this is, that they have a connection and relationship of being accompanying one another at that time. So they believe and they use this as their aqeedah to say that Allah accompanies us. This is a verse that is mutashabih. Alright, mutashabih in what way? It is mutashabih in that it can be confused and it can be misapplied and misunderstood and has an obscure meaning to those who are not grounded in their proper aqeedah knowledge. One of the Salaf was asked about this verse. How is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that He is above the heavens and the earth, but then He says, وَهُوَ مَعَهُمْ أَيْنَمَا كَانُوا, right? And He is with them wherever they may be. This individual from amongst the Salaf, what did he do? He did what the Salaf used to do and what the people of knowledge they do, and which we should still do today. We return that which is mutashabih back to that which is muhkam. Part of this portion of the ayat is muhkam, part of it is mutashabih. But the ayat that comes before it, what does it say? أَلَمْ تَعْلَمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. The verse that comes before it says, do you not know that Allah Ta'ala knows by way of His ilm whatever is in the heavens and whatever is in the earth. Then He mentioned that ما يكون من نجوى ثلاثة إلا هو الرابعهم ولا خمسة إلا هو سادسهم, to the end, وهو معهم أينما كانوا. Then He mentioned that He is with them. So before He mentioned that He is with them, He already established how He is with them by saying, أَلَمْ تَعْلَمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمْ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Do they not know that Allah knows everything and whatever is in the heavens and the earth? So this Salaf, he said, this is how we know, this is how we understand this verse. From the muhkam verse, very clear, Allah knows whatever is in the heavens and earth, so He is with them and with us, what? Bil-ilm, by way of His knowledge of every single thing. And then the end of the verse also contains that which is muhkamah from that ayah. ثُمَّ يُنَبِّئُهُمْ بِمَا عَمِلُوا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. Then He will inform them of that which they used to do when? يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ, He has full knowledge and awareness about every single thing. So in between that which is mutashabih, here we have two things that are muhkam. أَلَمْ تَعْلَمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. And at the end, إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. So this is one of the examples of returning that which is mutashabih back to that which is muhkam or muhkama from the ayat al-Qur'aniyyah. طيب. We'll stop here bi'idhnillahi azza wa jal with this portion tonight, and then the Nadhim, he goes on to mention min muhkam tanzili. So we talked about tonight, mashallah, tabarakallah, We talked about what is muhkam al-Quran, and then in our next sitting we will discuss what is muhkam at-tanzil. What is the meaning of at-tanzil? What is the meaning of at-tanzil? هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.